The words hit me like a freight train, and I'm betrayed again by someone I trusted completely. "Oh, that's so sad about Jake getting that vasectomy," Mia's sister Emma says casually over dinner, her fork pausing halfway to her mouth. "I mean, I get why he did it, but it must be hard for you, Mia, knowing you'll never have kids together." The metallic taste of shock floods my mouth as every conversation in the restaurant seems to stop. I haven't had a vasectomy. I've never even considered one. In fact, Mia and I have talked extensively about wanting children together. My hand trembles slightly as I set down my water glass, the condensation making it slip in my grip. "I'm sorry, what?" I managed to say, my voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. Emma glances between Mia and me, suddenly realizing she might have said something wrong. The procedure? Last month?" Her voice gets smaller with each word. I watch Mia's face transform through a spectrum of emotions: panic, calculation, defiance. She forces a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "Emma, we don't need to discuss our private medical decisions at dinner." But I'm already putting the pieces together, my mind racing through months of strange behavior that suddenly makes horrifying sense. The way she had been distant lately. The comments from her co-workers about how understanding I was. The way conversations would suddenly stop when I entered rooms at parties. I lean back in my chair, the leather creaking under the weight of this revelation. "Actually, Emma, I think there's been some confusion. I've never had a vasectomy." The silence that follows is deafening. Emma's eyes widen, darting between us like she's watching a tennis match. Mia's jaw clenches, and I can practically see the wheels spinning as she tries to figure out how to manipulate her way out of this. "Jake, don't be silly," Mia says with a laugh that sounds like breaking glass. "You're embarrassing me in front of my family." But I'm not backing down. Not this time. "No, Mia, I'm not being silly. I'm being honest. Something you apparently struggle with." The power in staying calm surprises me. Instead of exploding like she probably expects, I simply ask, "Emma, what exactly did Mia tell you about this supposed procedure?" Emma looks like she wants to crawl under the table. She said you got it done because you decided you didn't want kids. That it was hard for her to accept, but she was trying to be supportive of your choice. The betrayal deepens with each word. Not only has Mia lied about me having a medical procedure, but she's painted me as the villain in our relationship, the one who crushed her dreams of having children, when in reality, I've been the one pushing for us to start trying for a baby. I excuse myself from the table, needing space to process what I've just learned. As I walk toward the restroom, my phone buzzes in my pocket, but I ignore it. Right now, I need to think. In the bathroom mirror, I stare at a man I barely recognize. How long has this been going on? How many people believe I'm the kind of person who would get a vasectomy without telling my girlfriend? How many people think I'm a liar about wanting children? But more importantly, why? Why would Mia create such an elaborate lie? What does she gain from making me look like the bad guy? As I splash cold water on my face, one thought crystallizes with startling clarity. This explains everything. The distance, the weird looks from her friends, the way her family has been treating me lately. They all think I'm the one who destroyed our future together. I dry my hands on the rough paper towel, the texture grounding me in reality. When I return to the table, I'm going to demand answers. But first, I need to figure out just how deep this deception goes. The lavender scent of Mia's perfume used to comfort me, but now it feels cloying as I sit back down at the dinner table. I can smell it even from across the table, and it triggers a cascade of memories I need to examine with fresh eyes. We met 18 months ago at a mutual friend's barbecue. I was immediately drawn to her confidence, the way she commanded attention without seeming to try. She told stories that made everyone laugh, and when she turned that spotlight on me, I felt like the luckiest guy in the world. But now, as I think back to those early days, I remember how quickly she moved to define our relationship, how she'd tell people we were practically living together after just 3 weeks of dating, how she'd make plans for us without asking, then act hurt when I couldn't commit to something I hadn't agreed to. I'd chalked it up to enthusiasm. Now I wonder if it was something else entirely. "Jake?" Emma's voice breaks through my spiral of realization. "Are you okay?" I look at Mia, who's studying her salmon like it holds the secrets of the universe. "I'm fine, Emma. Just processing some new information." The truth is, this isn't the first time Mia has manipulated a narrative to make herself look better. 6 months ago, she told her co-workers I'd surprised her with a weekend trip to Napa for her birthday. In reality, she'd planned the entire thing, booked it, and then presented it to me as something I should pay for. When I questioned the expense, she cried and said I was ruining her birthday. I paid for the trip. Then there was the incident with my ex-girlfriend Sarah. Mia convinced me that Sarah was still obsessed with me and showing up at places where she knew I'd be. It took me weeks to realize that Mia was the one stalking Sarah's social media, finding out where she'd be, and then suggesting we go to those same places. When I finally confronted Sarah about it, she was genuinely confused and hurt that I'd think she was following me around. The pattern is becoming clear, and it suffocates me to realize how blind I've been. "So, Jake," Mia's father says, clearly trying to lighten the mood, "Mia tells us you're thinking about proposing soon?" The question hits me like a physical blow. We've never discussed marriage. In fact, the last time the topic came up, I'd said I wanted to wait until we'd been together at least 2 years and had talked seriously about our future goals. But apparently in Mia's version of our relationship, I'm ready to propose to someone I supposedly made sterile behind her back. I excavate every conversation we've had about children, and the truth becomes impossible to ignore. I've been consistent from day one. I want kids. I've talked about what kind of father I want to be, about the traditions I want to pass down, about how excited I am to see Mia as a mother someday. She's been setting me up. My phone buzzes against my leg again, and this time I check it. A text from Mia. "Can we please just finish dinner and talk about this at home?" But I'm done being managed. I'm done being the supporting character in her elaborate fiction. "Actually, Mr. Peterson," I say, my voice stronger than I feel, "Mia and I haven't discussed marriage. That's another story she's created." The color drains from Mia's face. "Jake, stop." No, I won't stop, because I'm starting to realize that almost everything your daughter has told you about our relationship has been a lie. Emma sets down her fork, the clink against the plate unnaturally loud in the sudden silence. I can see Mia calculating her next move, trying to figure out how to spin this. But for once, I'm not going to let her control the narrative. My phone buzzes again. This time it's a text I wasn't expecting. "Hey, this is weird, but did you really get a vasectomy? Mia's been telling people at work and I thought you should know." Marcus. Marcus is Mia's co-worker, which means this lie has spread beyond her family. It's infected our mutual friends, her workplace, probably my reputation throughout her entire social circle. The scope of her deception is staggering, and I feel like I'm drowning in the implications. "I think we should go," Mia says quietly, but there's steel in her voice. She's angry that her story is falling apart, not sorry that she created it in the first place. "Yes," I agree, standing up. "I think we should." As we gather our things, Emma touches my arm. "Jake, I'm sorry, I had no idea." "It's not your fault," I tell her, and I mean it. Emma is just another victim of Mia's manipulation. But as we walk toward the car, one question burns in my mind. How many other lies has she told? And more importantly, What am I going to do about it? The rough texture of my hands shaking makes it hard to scroll through my phone as we drive home in silence. I'm trying to process the magnitude of what's happening while Mia alternates between defensive silence and strategic sighs, designed to make me feel guilty for making a scene. When we get to my apartment, she immediately goes on the offensive. "I can't believe you embarrassed me like that in front of my family," she says, throwing her purse onto my couch like it's personally offended her. Embarrassed you? The words ignite something in me I've been suppressing for months. Mia, you told your entire family I had a medical procedure that I never had. You made me look like a liar, and you made yourself look like a victim. It's not that simple, Jake. She crosses her arms, settling into her victim stance. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. What pressure? The pressure to lie about your boyfriend to make him look bad? The pressure to explain why we're not moving forward, she explodes. Do you know what it's like to have your mother constantly asking when you're going to get married and have babies? Do you know what it's like to have to explain that your boyfriend won't even discuss the future? I stare at her, devastated by the complete rewriting of our history. Mia, we've talked about our future constantly. I've told you repeatedly that I want children. I've told you I want to marry you when the time is right. But when will the time be right, Jake? It's been 18 months. And you decided the solution was to tell people I got a vasectomy? She falters for a moment, and I can see her searching for the right manipulation to make this my fault somehow. I was hurt, she says finally. I felt like you were stringing me along, so I told my mom that you'd made a permanent decision. I didn't expect it to become such a big thing. But I know this is another lie. The vasectomy story is too detailed, too consistent across multiple people for it to be a spontaneous hurt response. I pull out my phone and start scrolling through social media, looking for evidence. It doesn't take long to find it. Mia, look at this. I turn my screen toward her. It's a Facebook post from her friend Jessica from 3 weeks ago. Thinking of my girl Mia today. So strong dealing with Jake's decision. Some men just aren't ready for the responsibility of fatherhood. The crystallization of understanding is almost physical. This isn't a recent lie told in a moment of pressure. This has been a deliberate campaign to destroy my reputation and paint herself as the long-suffering girlfriend of a man who refuses to commit. Jessica knows too. Who else, Mia? Who else have you told this story to? She won't meet my eyes. It's not. I didn't mean for it to get this big. I start making a list in my head, and it's terrifying. Her family, her co-workers, her college friends, probably my friends too. The lie has metastasized through our entire social network. I'm recording this conversation, I tell her, pulling out my phone and starting the voice recorder. It's a quiet power move, but it feels necessary. I want you to explain to me exactly who you've told this lie to and why you told it. Jake, you're being paranoid. Am I? Let me call Marcus and ask him what you've been saying at work. Her face goes white. Don't. Why not? If it's not that big of a deal, if it's just a misunderstanding, then there's nothing to worry about, right? I can see her calculating, trying to figure out how much I know and how much damage control she needs to do. Fine, she says finally. I told some people, but it wasn't malicious. I was just processing my feelings about our relationship. By lying about my medical history? By explaining why I felt stuck? The manipulation is so smooth, so practiced, that I almost fall for it. She's making herself the victim again, making me feel guilty for questioning her elaborate deception. But then my phone buzzes with another text. This one is from my college roommate, Dave. Dude, is it true you got snipped? Sarah mentioned it at trivia night. That's rough, man. Sarah, my ex-girlfriend Sarah, who Mia claimed was stalking us. Sarah knows about the vasectomy lie. Mia, how does Sarah know about this? The question hits her like a physical blow. She realizes she's been caught in another lie. I don't know. Maybe someone mentioned it. You told her directly, didn't you, when you were coincidentally running into her at places around town? The silence is damning. As I scroll through more messages and social media posts, the scope of her deception becomes clear. She's not just told a few people a white lie. She's created an entire alternate version of our relationship where I'm the villain who crushes her dreams, and she's the saint who stands by me, despite my selfishness. And the most devastating part? I'm starting to realize this has been going on for months. While I've been planning our future together, she's been systematically destroying my reputation and preparing to leave me. My phone buzzes again. This time it's an email notification. I glance at the sender and my blood turns to ice. It's from my landlord, asking about the lease renewal and mentioning that my girlfriend called to ask about removing my name from the lease early. She's been planning to break up with me for months, and she's been laying the groundwork to make it look like my fault the entire time. The antiseptic smell of Dr. Patterson's office normally doesn't bother me, but today it seems overwhelming as I sit in the waiting room, trying to figure out how to explain why I need medical documentation proving I haven't had a vasectomy. When the nurse calls my name, my legs feel unsteady as I walk down the familiar hallway. I've been coming to Dr. Patterson for 5 years, and this is definitely the weirdest appointment I've ever requested. Jake! Dr. Patterson greets me with his usual warm smile. Good to see you, though I have to admit your appointment request was unusual. You want documentation that you haven't had a vasectomy? I sink into the chair across from his desk, suddenly feeling foolish. It's complicated, Doc. My girlfriend has been telling people that I had the procedure done, and it's causing some serious problems in my life. His eyebrows shoot up. She's telling people you had a vasectomy that you didn't have? Exactly. And now I need proof that she's lying. Dr. Patterson leans back in his chair, his expression shifting from curiosity to professional concern. Jake, that's a very serious accusation to make against someone. False medical information can have legal ramifications. The weight of his words hits me. This isn't just relationship drama. This is someone deliberately spreading false information about my medical history, potentially affecting my reputation and future relationships. I know it sounds crazy, I say, pulling out my phone, but I have text messages from multiple people asking me about it. She's been spreading this lie for months. I show him the messages from Marcus, Dave, and several others. His expression grows more serious with each screenshot. This is very concerning, Jake. Not just from a personal standpoint, but from a medical ethics perspective. She's essentially creating a false medical history for you. He turns to his computer and starts typing. Let me pull up your records. We'll document everything thoroughly. As he scrolls through my file, I feel a strange sense of vindication building. Here, in black and white, is proof that Mia has been lying. Okay, your medical history shows no record of any urological procedures, Dr. Patterson says. No vasectomy, no consultations about vasectomy, no referrals to specialists. Nothing. He prints out several pages and stamps them with his official seal. I'm giving you a comprehensive summary of your reproductive health records. This clearly states that you have never undergone any sterilization procedures. I take the papers, feeling their weight both literally and figuratively. These documents can liberate me from Mia's lies, but they also represent the end of our relationship. Jake, Dr. Patterson says carefully, I want you to consider something. Someone who would create this level of deception about something as serious as a medical procedure. This suggests a pattern of manipulative behavior that could escalate. His words fortify my resolve. This isn't just about the vasectomy lie. It's about the fundamental dishonesty that has infected every aspect of our relationship. Doc, can you give me multiple copies? And maybe put this on official letterhead? He nods, understanding the gravity of the situation. Of course, and Jake? If you need to involve legal counsel about this defamation, I'm willing to provide testimony about the falsification of medical records. As the printer hums, producing multiple copies of my vindication, Dr. Patterson adds something that stops me cold. You know, since we're discussing your reproductive health, when was your last fertility panel? If you're planning to start a family in the future, it might be worth having baseline numbers. The irony hits me like a truck. Here I am, getting proof that I haven't been sterilized, while the woman who claims to want children with me has been systematically destroying our relationship. Actually, that's a good idea, I say. Let's do the full panel. 20 minutes later, I'm walking out of the office with a folder full of documentation and a lab order for fertility testing. The medical proof feels powerful in my hands, concrete evidence that Mia has been lying. But more than that, it represents something bigger. For the first time in months, I'm taking control of the narrative instead of letting her write it for me. As I sit in my car in the parking lot, I open the folder and read through the official documentation. It's all there, my complete reproductive health history, clearly stating that I have never undergone any sterilization procedures, signed and sealed by a licensed physician. I think about Mia, probably at home right now, trying to figure out how to spin tonight's dinner disaster into something that's somehow my fault. But for the first time in our relationship, I have something she can't manipulate. The truth, documented and official. The question now is what to do with it. My phone buzzes with a text from Mia. We need to talk when you get home. I think we can work through this if we communicate better. Even now, she's trying to manage the situation, trying to make this about communication rather than her deliberate deception. But I'm done being managed. I start the car and head home. The medical records secure in the passenger seat. It's time to see how deep this rabbit hole goes. And more importantly, it's time to take back control of my own story. The bitter taste of coffee lingers in my mouth as I work late into the night, my laptop screen casting blue light across the scattered medical documents on my kitchen table. I've been researching Mia's family for 3 hours now, and what I've discovered is both illuminating and strategic. The Petersons are old-school Catholic. Mia's father runs a family construction business that's been passed down for 3 generations. Her mother volunteers at the church and coordinates the annual family reunion. They have 5 children, and every single one of them except Mia is married with kids. I can see why she would feel pressure about our relationship timeline, but more importantly, I can see why she would choose the vasectomy lie specifically. To her traditional family, a man who gets sterilized without discussing it with his girlfriend isn't just inconsiderate, he's morally bankrupt. She didn't just want to make me look bad. She wanted to make me look like everything her family would hate. I open a new document and start crafting an email. This isn't going to be an emotional rant or a desperate plea for understanding. This is going to be a precision strike, delivered with surgical accuracy. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Peterson, I begin, then delete it. Too formal. Dear Robert and Linda, I try again. Better, personal but respectful. As I write, I can hear Mia moving around in the bedroom. She's been trying to love-bomb me all evening, making my favorite dinner, wearing the perfume I complimented on our first date, suggesting we watch the movie that made me cry last month. She knows something is wrong, and she's pulling out all the stops to regain control. But I'm not falling for it anymore. The email takes me 2 hours to write. I include a brief explanation of what happened at dinner, attach the medical documentation, and provide a timeline of when the lies began and how they spread. I keep the tone factual and respectful, but I don't sugarcoat the deliberately deceptive nature of what Mia has done. The most important part is the end. I want you to know that I've never wavered in my desire to have children with your daughter. The idea that I would get a vasectomy without discussing it with her, or that I would lie about having one, goes against everything I believe about relationships and family. I hope this documentation helps clarify the situation. I read it 17 times, editing and refining until every word serves a purpose. Now I need email addresses. I remember Mia's college roommate Kelly posting about Mr. Peterson's birthday last month, tagging both parents. I scroll through Kelly's Facebook until I find the post, then click on their profiles. Robert Peterson lists his business email publicly. Linda has her personal email in her profile. Perfect. But that's not enough. I need this to reach the right people at the right time. I make a list of everyone who needs to see this. Her parents, obviously, but also her siblings, her close friends, and her coworkers who have been part of spreading this lie. I spend another hour tracking down email addresses, using LinkedIn, Facebook, and mutual connections. It's detective work, but it's necessary. If Mia has spent months systematically destroying my reputation, then I need to systematically restore it. My phone buzzes. Another text from Mia. I know you're upset, but can we please talk? I love you and I think we can fix this. The manipulation is so transparent now that I almost laugh. She's not sorry she lied. She's sorry she got caught. I look at the clock. 2:47 a.m. The email is ready. The recipient list is complete. All I have to do is hit send. But I pause, my finger hovering over the mouse button. Once I send this, there's no going back. This will orchestrate the complete dismantling of our relationship and probably destroy any chance of reconciliation. Is that what I want? I think about the months of lies, the systematic campaign to make me look like the villain, the way she's been planning to leave me while making it seem like my fault. I think about Marcus's text, Dave's confusion, the fact that even my ex-girlfriend has been drawn into this web of deception. But mostly, I think about the fact that she's never once apologized. Not for the lie, not for the damage to my reputation, not for making me question my own sanity when people started treating me differently. She's only sorry she got caught. I attach the medical documents one more time, double-check the recipient list, and add a simple subject line. Important clarification regarding Jake and Mia's relationship. My finger hovers over the send button for another 30 seconds. Then, I think about her sitting in that restaurant, doubling down on her lie even when confronted with the truth. And I click send. The email disappears from my drafts folder, and suddenly the weight of the last few months lifts from my shoulders. For the first time since this started, I'm not playing defense. I'm not trying to convince people that I'm not the person Mia has painted me to be. I'm simply telling the truth and letting the evidence speak for itself. I close my laptop and turn off my phone. Whatever happens next, it's out of my hands now. The truth is finally free, and tomorrow I'll deal with the consequences. But tonight, for the first time in months, I sleep soundly. The click of the mouse button echoes in the silence of my apartment like a gunshot. The email is sent. There's no taking it back now. I stare at the empty sent folder for a moment, then close my laptop with a decisive snap. The weight of what I've just done settles over me like a heavy blanket, but underneath the apprehension is something I haven't felt in months. Relief. For too long, I've been playing defense in a game where I didn't even know the rules. Mia has been controlling the narrative, shaping how people see me, deciding what version of our relationship gets told to the world. But not anymore. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm using her own tactics against her. She spread information through her network to damage my reputation. Now I'm spreading information through that same network to restore it. The difference is that my information is true. I turn off my phone without checking it and decide to go for a walk. The cool night air hits my face as I step outside, and I breathe deeply, for what feels like the first time in weeks. The familiar sounds of my neighborhood, the distant hum of traffic, the rustle of leaves, a dog barking somewhere down the street, ground me in reality. As I walk, I find myself cataloging all the small moments over the past few months that make sense now. The way Mia's co-worker avoided eye contact at the grocery store. The strange sympathy in her friend Rachel's voice when she asked how I was handling everything. The way conversations would stop when I joined groups at parties. They all thought they knew something about me that I didn't know about myself. They thought they were protecting Mia from a man who had secretly made himself incapable of giving her children. The detonation of truth I've just sent will cascade through that network of lies, unraveling months of carefully constructed fiction. By morning, her parents will know their daughter has been lying. Her siblings will realize they've been fed false information. Her friends will understand that their sympathy has been misdirected. And Mia will have to face the consequences of her deception. Part of me feels bad for what's about to happen to her. Despite everything, I did love her. I thought we had a future together, but I can't build a life with someone who would rather destroy my reputation than have an honest conversation about our relationship timeline. I walk for an hour, letting the rhythm of my footsteps clear my head. When I finally return to my apartment, I can see light under the bedroom door and hear Mia moving around. She's probably wondering where I am, maybe even worried. The old me would have texted to let her know I was okay. But the old me was being manipulated. I turn my phone back on, and the screen immediately lights up with notifications. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages, 24 missed FaceTime calls. It's 3:17 a.m. The email was sent less than 2 hours ago. My hands shake slightly as I scroll through the notifications. Most are from Mia, ranging from confusion to panic to anger. But there are others too. Her mother, her father, her sister Emma. Several people I don't immediately recognize. The nuclear option has definitely detonated. I don't read the messages yet. I'm not ready for that level of chaos. Instead, I pour myself a glass of water and sit on my couch, trying to prepare mentally for what's coming. My email notification chimes, and I see the first response sitting in my inbox. The sender is Linda Peterson, Mia's mother. The subject line simply says, important clarification regarding Jake and Mia's relationship. I stare at the email for a long moment before opening it. This is it. This is where I find out whether my gamble has paid off or whether I've just obliterated any chance of salvaging anything from this situation. I click open. Dear Jake, I am sitting here at 3 a.m. with my husband, and we are both shocked and appalled by what we have learned tonight. We owe you a sincere apology for the way we have treated you based on information we now know to be false. We are driving down first thing in the morning to speak with our daughter. This behavior is unacceptable, and we are devastated that she would create such harmful lies about someone we have come to care about. Please know that we do not hold you responsible for any of this situation. The medical documentation you provided makes it clear that Mia has been deliberately deceiving not just us, but everyone in her life. We will be in touch soon. Robert and Linda Peterson. I read the email 3 times before the words fully sink in. They believe me. More than that, they're horrified by what their daughter has done. My phone starts ringing. The caller ID shows Mia's name, but I let it go to voicemail. Then it rings again and again. After the 5th call, I hear footsteps in the hallway and Mia's voice through the bedroom door. Jake, are you out there? We need to talk. I look at my phone, still buzzing with new messages and calls. The truth has been unleashed, and there's no containing it now. Whatever happens next, it's going to happen fast. I hear Mia's footsteps getting closer to the living room, and I realize that in about 30 seconds I'm going to face the person whose lies have dominated my life for months. But this time, I'm not going into that conversation defenseless. This time I have the truth on my side. And based on the response from her parents, the truth is more powerful than I dared to hope. The vibration of my phone buzzing non-stop against the coffee table creates a steady rhythm that sounds like a snare drum in the quiet apartment. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes, watching notification after notification light up the screen, and the magnitude of what I've unleashed is becoming clear. Mia appears in the living room doorway, her hair disheveled and her face puffy from crying. She's wearing the oversized t-shirt she sleeps in, and under different circumstances, I might have found her vulnerable appearance endearing. Now it just looks like another manipulation tactic. "Jake, what did you do?" Her voice cracks on the words. I look up at her calmly. "I told the truth." "My parents are calling me. Emma is freaking out. My mom said something about medical documents." She's spiraling, her voice getting higher and more frantic with each word. "I sent them the proof that I never had a vasectomy. The proof that you've been lying about me for months." The color drains from her face completely. You sent my family medical records?" "I sent them my medical records, proving that everything you told them was a lie." She sinks onto the couch across from me, her hands shaking as she reaches for her phone. "Jake, you don't understand. This is going to destroy everything." "Good. Maybe it's time everything built on lies gets destroyed." My phone buzzes again, and this time I check the message. It's from Emma. "Jake, I am so sorry. Mom told me what really happened. I feel terrible for believing Mia's lies. You didn't deserve any of this." I show Mia the message, and she lets out a sound that's half sob, half angry scream. "You turned my own family against me." "I didn't turn anyone against you, Mia. I simply told them the truth. If that turns them against you, maybe you should think about what that says about the lies you've been telling." Another message comes in, this one from her father. "Son, we're driving down first thing tomorrow morning. We need to have a serious conversation with our daughter. You shouldn't have to deal with this alone." The word son hits me unexpectedly hard. Robert Peterson has never called me that before, but apparently learning that his daughter has been systematically lying about me has shifted something in how he sees this situation. Mia is frantically scrolling through her own phone now, and I can see her panic growing with each message she reads. "My coworkers are texting me. My college friends. Jake, what did you do?" "I sent the truth to everyone who needed to hear it. Everyone you lied to about me." "You had no right." The accusation ignites something in me. "I had no right?" "Mia, you spent months telling people I had a medical procedure that I never had. You made me look like a liar and a villain to everyone we know. You destroyed my reputation and made me question my own sanity. And you think I had no right to defend myself with the truth?" She's crying now, but they're angry tears, not remorseful ones. "You could have talked to me first. We could have figured this out together." Like we figured out the vasectomy lie? Or like we figured out all the other lies you've told about our relationship? My phone starts ringing. The caller ID shows Linda Peterson. I answer it. "Hi, Mrs. Peterson." "Jake, honey, are you okay? Robert and I are both so upset about this situation." I can hear the genuine concern in her voice, and it almost brings me to tears. "I'm okay. It's been a difficult few months, but I'm okay. We're leaving in about an hour to drive down there. We should arrive around 7 a.m. Is that okay with you?" "Of course, I'll be here." "Good. And Jake, we're going to get to the bottom of this. What our daughter has done is completely unacceptable." I hang up and look at Mia, who has been listening to every word. Her face has gone from pale to green. "My parents are coming here?" "Jake, you can't let them come here. This is between us." "No, Mia. This stopped being between us the moment you made it public. The moment you lied to your family, your friends, your co-workers, and my friends about me." Another text comes in, this one from Marcus at her workplace. Dude, I owe you a huge apology. Mia showed us all fake medical records? What the hell? HR wants to talk to her on Monday. I show her the message, and she actually gasps. Fake medical records? I never showed anyone fake medical records. Then how did they all know the specific details about the procedure? The timing? The recovery period? She can't answer because we both know the truth. She didn't just tell people I had a vasectomy. She created an entire elaborate story with details that could only come from someone who claimed to have inside knowledge. My phone buzzes with a call from Dave, my college roommate. I answer it on speaker. Jake, what the hell is going on? I just got the most insane email about Mia lying about you having surgery. It's all true, Dave. She's been telling people I had a vasectomy for months. I never had one. Bro, that's seriously messed up. Why would she do that? I look directly at Mia as I answer. That's a great question. I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Well, shit. I'm sorry I believed it, man. That's really not cool. After I hang up, Mia explodes. You're humiliating me. You're destroying my reputation. Now you know how it feels. The quiet power in my response seems to deflate her anger momentarily, but then her phone rings, and I can see it's her father calling her. She looks at me desperately. Please, Jake, can you tell them this was all a misunderstanding? That we worked it out? The request is so absurd that I actually laugh. A misunderstanding? Mia, you told multiple people I had surgery to make myself sterile. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a deliberate, calculated lie. She lets her father's call go to voicemail, but immediately her mother calls. Then Emma. Then her brother Mark. They're not going to stop calling until you answer, I tell her. I can't. I don't know what to say. You could try the truth. It's surprisingly liberating. She finally answers when her mother calls for the 4th time. Mom, I can explain. I can hear Linda Peterson's voice through the phone, and she's clearly upset. I can't make out all the words, but I catch disappointed, lies, and ashamed. Mia's responses are a mixture of defensive explanations and tearful apologies, but I can tell she's not taking full responsibility. She's still trying to make this partially my fault somehow. After she hangs up, she looks at me with something that might be genuine remorse for the first time tonight. Jake, I know I messed up, but did you have to involve everyone? Couldn't we have handled this privately? You made it public, Mia. You involved everyone when you decided to lie about me to them. I just gave them the other side of the story. My phone rings again. This time it's Sarah, my ex-girlfriend. I'm surprised she's calling this late, but I answer, Jake, I just saw the email you sent. I had no idea Mia was telling people all that stuff about you. You knew about the vasectomy lie? She told me when we ran into each other at that coffee shop last month. She said you'd had it done, and that she was struggling with it but trying to be supportive. I actually felt bad for both of you. I look at Mia, who has turned completely white. Sarah, when you say you ran into each other, was that really a coincidence? There's a pause. I don't think so, actually. Now that I think about it, she seemed to know I'd be there. She mentioned seeing my Instagram story about going there. Another piece of the puzzle clicks into place. Mia wasn't just lying about me. She was actively seeking out people to lie to, including my ex-girlfriend. After I hang up with Sarah, I turn to Mia. You hunted down my ex-girlfriend to tell her lies about me. I was hurt, Jake. I felt like you weren't committing to our relationship, and I needed someone to talk to. So you talked to my ex-girlfriend, and you lied to her about me having surgery? The absurdity of her logic is staggering. But what's more staggering is that she still doesn't seem to understand how wrong this was. As I sit here, watching her field call after call from people who now know the truth. I realized that this moment was inevitable. The lies were too big, too elaborate, too public to stay hidden forever. The only question now is what happens next. And based on the sound of cars pulling into my parking lot, I think I'm about to find out. The sound of Mia's mother crying is like nothing I've ever heard before. A deep, wounded keening that seems to come from her soul. Linda Peterson sits in my living room armchair, her hands covering her face, while her husband stands behind her with his hand on her shoulder, and an expression of barely controlled fury. They drove through the night to get here, arriving at 6:47 a.m., with tired eyes and grim determination. Mia tried to intercept them at the door, but Robert Peterson gently but firmly moved her aside and asked to speak with me first. Now, an hour later, we're all in my living room, and the truth is finally out in the open. I don't understand, Linda keeps saying through her tears. I don't understand how our daughter could do something like this. Mia sits on the far end of my couch, as far from her parents as possible, her arms wrapped around herself defensively. She's been trying to explain herself for 20 minutes, but every explanation just makes things worse. You have to understand, she says for the 4th time. I felt pressured. Everyone was always asking when Jake and I were going to get married, when we were going to have kids. I felt like I had to give them an explanation for why we weren't moving forward. So you made up a story about him having surgery? Robert's voice is dangerously quiet. You told us that Jake had made himself sterile without discussing it with you? I was trying to protect myself. From what? Linda looks up from her hands, her eyes red and swollen. From having an adult conversation with your boyfriend about your relationship timeline? The devastation in Linda's voice breaks something in me. This woman welcomed me into her family, treated me like a son, and now she's learning that her own daughter has been systematically lying to her for months. Mrs. Peterson, I say gently, I want you to know that I never gave Mia any reason to think I didn't want children with her. We've talked about it multiple times. I've always been clear that I wanted kids and that I saw a future with her. Robert pulls out his phone and starts reading from it. According to the timeline in your email, this lie has been going on for 4 months. 4 months of telling everyone that Jake had a vasectomy. 4 months of making herself look like the victim of his selfishness. But that's not even the worst part, I say, and all 3 of them look at me. She was also planning to break up with me and make it look like my fault. I show them the email from my landlord about removing my name from the lease early. Linda gasps. Mia, you were planning to leave him? I was exploring my options. I felt trapped in a relationship that wasn't going anywhere. So instead of talking to him about it, you decided to destroy his reputation first? Robert's voice is getting louder. You made him look like a liar to everyone who knows him? Mia finally starts to crack. I didn't mean for it to get this big. I just told Mom initially, and then when other people asked about our relationship, I had to be consistent with the story. Consistent with the lie, Robert corrects. You told my coworkers, I add. You told my friends. You told my ex-girlfriend. You went out of your way to spread this story to as many people as possible. I was hurting, Mia explodes, finally showing some real emotion instead of calculated victimhood. I felt like you were stringing me along, and I wanted people to understand why I was struggling. By making me the villain, I say quietly. The room falls silent except for Linda's quiet crying. Robert sits down heavily in the chair next to his wife. Mia, your mother and I raised you better than this. We taught you to tell the truth, to handle problems with honesty and communication. What you've done here goes against everything we believe in. And it's not just the lying, Linda adds, her voice shaky but firm. It's the deliberate cruelty of it. You made Jake look like someone who would sneak around and have surgery without telling his girlfriend. You made him look like someone who would lie about wanting children. That's character assassination. Mia looks around the room desperately, searching for someone who might take her side. But there's no one left to manipulate. I'm sorry, she says finally, but it sounds hollow. I know I messed up. I know I hurt people. But can't we just move past this? The audacity of the request, that we should all just move past months of deliberate deception, hangs in the air like a bad smell. Robert stands up slowly. Mia, your mother and I need to speak with you privately. Jake, would you mind giving us some space? Of course, I'll go grab some coffee. As I reach for my keys, Mia suddenly speaks up. Jake, wait. Before you go, I need you to know that I did love you. I do love you. I didn't know how to handle the pressure. I turn back to look at her, and for a moment I see the woman I fell in love with 18 months ago. But I also see someone who chose deception over communication, manipulation over honesty, and cruelty over compassion. Mia, I say gently, if you loved me, you wouldn't have tried to destroy my reputation. If you loved me, you would have talked to me about your concerns instead of lying to everyone we know. What you did wasn't love, it was control. I leave them to their family conversation and drive to the coffee shop down the street. As I sit with my cup, watching the morning sun stream through the windows, I feel something I haven't felt in months, peace. The truth is finally out. The lies have been exposed. And while my relationship with Mia is clearly over, I've discovered something important about myself. I'm stronger than I thought, and I won't accept being treated as less than I deserve. When I return to the apartment an hour later, I find Robert waiting for me alone. Where are Mia and Mrs. Peterson? I ask. Linda took Mia back to our hotel. She needs some time to process all of this. He pauses, looking older than when I left. Jake, I owe you an apology, not just for believing Mia's lies, but for the way we've treated you because of them. Mr. Peterson, you don't need to apologize. You were working with the information you had. No, son. We should have known better. We should have known you better. He extends his hand for a shake. You're a good man, Jake. Our daughter is lucky to have had you, and I'm sorry she threw that away. As we shake hands, I realize that while I've lost Mia, I've gained something more valuable. Self-respect, and the knowledge that the truth, however painful, is always worth fighting for. The warmth of Robert Peterson's handshake lingers as we sit across from each other at my kitchen table, 2 cups of coffee growing cold between us. I never expected to be having this conversation with my now ex-girlfriend's father, but nothing about the last 24 hours has gone according to any script I could have imagined. Jake, I need you to understand something, Robert says, his voice heavy with exhaustion and regret. This isn't the first time Mia has done something like this. The admission hits me like a physical blow. What do you mean? He runs his hands through his graying hair and sighs deeply. There was a boy in high school, Tommy Martinez. Sweet kid, really loved our daughter. One day, Tommy's mother called us asking why Mia was telling people that Tommy had been pressuring her to have sex, and that he'd gotten angry when she said no. I feel my stomach drop. But it wasn't true? Tommy was one of the most respectful boys I've ever met. Turned out Mia had made the whole thing up because she wanted to break up with him, but didn't want to look like the bad guy. She wanted everyone to think he was some kind of predator, so they'd feel sorry for her. The pattern is becoming horrifyingly clear. What happened? Tommy's family moved to another town. The kid was destroyed. He'd been labeled as someone who pressures girls for sex, and you know how that follows a teenage boy. His whole reputation was ruined. Robert's voice cracks slightly. We made Mia apologize, got her therapy, thought we'd solved the problem. But you hadn't. Apparently not. Then in college there was her roommate, Sarah, different Sarah than your ex-girlfriend. Mia convinced everyone that Sarah was stealing from her, making her life miserable, even bullying her. Turned out Mia was the one stealing, and she'd flipped the script to make herself look like the victim. I lean back in my chair, the scope of Mia's manipulative behavior becoming clear. How many times has this happened? At least 4 times that we know of. There was also her first job out of college. She convinced her boss that a co-worker was sabotaging her work. Got the guy fired before anyone realized Mia was the one making mistakes and blaming him for them. The revelation is staggering. Mr. Peterson, why didn't you warn me? He looks at me with genuine anguish. Because each time she swore it would never happen again. Each time she seemed genuinely remorseful. And honestly, Jake, we thought maybe she'd grown out of it. She's been with you longer than anyone else, and for the first year, everything seemed so normal, so healthy. Until it wasn't. Until it wasn't. He pauses, then continues. Linda and I talked about it during the drive down here. We think Mia panics when relationships get serious. When there's real pressure to commit or take the next step, she sabotages things but makes it look like the other person's fault. This explains so much. The timing of the vasectomy lie. The way she's been planning her exit while making me look like the villain. The elaborate story that painted her as the long-suffering girlfriend of a selfish man. What are you going to do? I ask. Robert straightens up, and I can see the decisive businessman who built a successful company from nothing. We're cutting off her financial support until she gets serious help. Real therapy, not just a few sessions to appease us. She's been living in an apartment we pay for, driving a car we bought her, getting money from us whenever she asks. That stops now. The firmness in his voice tells me this isn't an empty threat. She's 27 years old, Jake. It's time for her to face the consequences of her actions without Mommy and Daddy cleaning up her messes. I feel a strange sense of validation hearing this from her own father. I'm sorry it came to this. Don't be. You did exactly what you should have done. You told the truth, and you protected yourself from further damage. That takes courage. He pauses. More courage than her own parents have shown over the years. My phone buzzes with a text from Emma. Jake, I hope you're okay. Mom told me about the other times Mia has done this. I'm so sorry we didn't see it sooner. You deserve so much better. I show Robert the message, and he nods approvingly. Emma's a good kid. She's been worried about Mia's behavior for years, but felt like she couldn't say anything without proof. What about the rest of your family? They're all horrified. Mark is furious. He's been defending Mia to his wife for months, telling her that you were the problem in the relationship. Now he feels like an idiot. Our extended family, Mia's cousins, her aunts and uncles, they all got the email too. There's no hiding from this. The scope of the fallout is enormous, but I find myself feeling more relieved than guilty. All these people were making judgments about me based on lies. Now they know the truth. Robert, I say, using his first name for the first time, I want you to know that I really did love your daughter. I wanted a future with her. If she had just talked to me about feeling pressured about our timeline, we could have worked through it. I know, son, and that's what makes this so tragic. She had a good man who loved her, and instead of trusting that love, she chose deception and manipulation. He stands up to leave, but pauses at the door. Jake, I want you to know that Linda and I would be proud to have you as a son-in-law someday. Not with Mia, that ship has sailed, but with someone who deserves you. You're going to make someone very happy. After he leaves, I sit in my quiet apartment and realize something profound has happened. In exposing Mia's lies, I didn't just clear my name. I discovered that I have allies I never knew existed. People who see my worth, who recognize the truth when they hear it, who are willing to stand up for what's right, even when it means confronting their own family member. For the first time since this nightmare began, I don't feel alone. My phone rings, and I see it's Linda Peterson calling. "Jake, honey, are you doing okay?" "I'm okay, Mrs. Peterson. Your husband and I had a good talk." "Good. I want you to know that we're going to make sure Mia gets the help she needs, but we're also going to make sure everyone knows the truth about what happened. You shouldn't have to carry the burden of rehabilitating your reputation alone." The generosity of the offer brings tears to my eyes. "Thank you. That means more than you know." "You're a good man, Jake. Don't let our daughter's problems make you think otherwise." After we hang up, I realize that while I've lost the woman I thought I loved, I've gained something equally valuable. The knowledge that there are people in this world who will stand up for the truth, even when it's painful. Even when it means confronting their own family. And perhaps most importantly, I've learned that I'm worth standing up for. Fresh air through newly opened windows carries the scent of spring rain as I pack the last of Mia's belongings into boxes 6 months later. It's strange how quickly an apartment can stop feeling like it belongs to 2 people and start feeling like home again. The past half year has been a journey of healing and rediscovery that I couldn't have imagined when I first sent that email. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. Mia's friends choosing sides, mutual acquaintances asking for my version of events, social media drama that took weeks to die down. But gradually, the truth settled into place like sediment in clear water, and life found a new normal. I kept my promise to myself and blocked Mia on all platforms without reading her final messages. Robert told me she'd tried to contact me through them several times, but I'd made my decision. Some bridges, once burned, aren't meant to be rebuilt. The therapy sessions I started 3 months ago have helped me understand how I missed the signs of manipulation for so long. Dr. Sarah Chen, yes, another Sarah, which made me laugh the first time I met her, helped me recognize the patterns of gaslighting and emotional manipulation that had become so normalized in my relationship with Mia. "You're not responsible for fixing someone who chooses deception over communication," she told me during one particularly enlightening session. "Your job is to be honest, trustworthy, and communicative. Their job is to reciprocate those qualities." Simple words, but they liberated me from months of wondering what I could have done differently. The doorbell rings, interrupting my packing. I open it to find Emma Peterson standing there with a bottle of wine and a hesitant smile. "I hope it's okay that I stopped by," she says. "I was in the neighborhood and I thought maybe we could talk." Emma and I have become unlikely friends over the past few months. She was the first of Mia's family members to reach out after the truth came out, apologizing not just for believing the lies, but for her own suspicions about my character that she'd harbored based on Mia's stories. "Of course," I say, stepping aside to let her in. "I'm just finishing up with the last of Mia's stuff." She looks around the apartment, noting the lighter feeling that comes from removing someone's presence entirely. "It looks good in here. It looks like you again." We sit on my couch, the same couch where Mia used to curl up next to me during movie nights, back when I thought those moments were real. "How is she?" I ask, because despite everything, I can't help but care about the answer. "Getting help, finally. Real help this time. She's in an intensive therapy program, and she's actually starting to take responsibility for her actions. It's slow, but it's progress." I nod, genuinely glad to hear it. "And your parents?" "Dad's proud of you, you know. He tells people about the young man who had the courage to stand up for himself. Mom still gets emotional talking about how she failed to see what was happening." Emma pauses. "They both say you're always welcome at family dinners, if you ever want to come." The offer touches me deeply. That's incredibly generous, but I think it would be too complicated. I understand, but the invitation stands. We talk for an hour about life, work, and the strange circumstances that brought us together as friends. As she's getting ready to leave, Emma says something that stops me cold. "Jake, I want you to know something. The way you handled all of this, it changed how I think about relationships. Watching you choose truth over comfort, seeing you stand up for yourself without being cruel or vindictive, it made me realize I've been settling for less in my own life." "What do you mean?" "I broke up with my boyfriend last month. Turned out he'd been lying to me about small things for years, and I'd been making excuses for it. Your situation made me realize that if someone really loves you, they don't lie to you. Period." After Emma leaves, I finish packing Mia's belongings and called the donation center to pick them up. I could have demanded she come get them herself, but I chose the path that would heal rather than hurt. Some might call it weakness. I call it choosing to be the person I want to be regardless of how others behave. My phone chimes with a text from someone named Claire. "Hi, I know this might be weird, but Emma Peterson gave me your number. She thought we might have a lot in common. I'm the friend she mentioned who's also been through something similar with an ex. Would you like to get coffee sometime? No pressure." I stare at the message for a long moment. 6 months ago, the thought of dating again seemed impossible. The idea of trusting someone new, of being vulnerable again, felt like volunteering to be hurt. But I've learned something important about myself over these months. I'm not broken. What happened with Mia was about her inability to be honest, not about my inability to be loved. I text back, "I'd love to get coffee. How about Saturday afternoon?" Her response comes quickly. "Perfect. Fair warning though, I'm probably going to ask you a million questions about your intentions, your past relationships, and your thoughts on communication in relationships. I've learned not to take anything for granted." I laugh out loud in my empty apartment. That sounds refreshingly honest. I look forward to it. As the sun sets through my newly unobstructed windows, I realize that Mia's lies, as painful as they were, led me to something I'd never had before: complete honesty with myself and others. I know what I want in a relationship now. I know what I won't tolerate. I know my own worth. And for the first time in years, I'm genuinely excited about the future. The apartment feels clean, spacious, and full of possibility. Tomorrow, I'll meet Claire for coffee, and we'll see if two people who've learned the hard way about the importance of honesty can build something real together. But tonight, I'm content to sit in my reclaimed space, drinking wine from the bottle Emma brought, and celebrating the man I've become through surviving the worst betrayal of my life. I'm reborn, stronger and wiser, ready to love again. But this time I'll only love someone who loves me enough to tell me the truth. And that feels like the happiest ending I could have asked for.